since the state championship games, we've talked to a lot of coaches who have won state championships because I think that's the easiest way, and we're pretty dumb. So for us, it's the easiest way to judge how that a team did really well. But there are different measuring sticks at different programs. And I would argue to you, Max, that one of the most successful programs in 2017 were the San Antonio Memorial Minutemen, the District 28 5A champions, the first time they've won a district championship in program history, a program that started in 1967, their second playoff berth in program history, their first since 1988, their first winning season since 1994. And here to talk about his Minutemen is the head coach of San Antonio Memorial. It's Coach Kemmie Lewis. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well, guys.
How are things in beautiful Edgewood?
Man, they're great after this beautiful season. I mean, everybody's ecstatic, and can't wait for next season. So things are looking up, and they're looking good.
You mentioned that you can't wait for next season. I feel like that is a feeling that has not been felt around those parts in quite a while. They're like, oh, well, I guess football season will happen again. For you, how different is the vibe around school and around this program now that you guys had this remarkable breakout year?
Well, I must say that, attendance is high. At first, years before, like no one wants to come to school, and the community is like, they're hoping for success, this year or every other year, but it doesn't happen that way. Now that it has happened, it just pretty much brought life to the community. The kids are doing well. They're like more in tune to what, their goals are now is, than before. I think just winning just cures all, and it's a phenomenal atmosphere, and it's just a good thing that those kids, they really put their hearts and soul into this season. It just changed like pretty much the whole dynamic of our campus right now.
And you guys, I think people may look at a year where you guys make the playoffs at 7-3, win a district championship, and there are people who may be like, oh, okay, there's a lot of programs that do this, but the history behind the context here is so incredible. You guys were 0-10 last year. I know it was your first year there at the helm. I guess, how is it that you get – I think we talk a lot on the show about it's easy to tell kids who have won before to just keep winning, but it's a lot harder to get them to believe that they can win when they haven't been. What was your message to your kids maybe throughout the offseason after an 0-10 season to get them to spark them to this remarkable season?
When I first became the head coach in 2016, I was an assistant before then. I put 4 years as an assistant in. So at that point, I began to just build those relationships with our student athletes from when they're in middle school all the way up to thus far. So I think it started before then, and I know that's hard to say, but it started before then by building those relationships and just getting to know who our kids are, what they like, what they don't like, and just build that relationship. And from that standpoint, because this past group that we're successful with actually were my first group that I ever coached. So we had this relationship until this point. So I think they trusted me, and we knew what we had to do. The task at hand. They never really experienced winning. Like you said before, it's hard to really tell a kid how to win when you never felt that way before. So they put all their trust in my coaching stuff, myself, and we had this relationship, and so we set up some goals for the year. It didn't happen in 2016. We set up the same exact goals for this same year, and looking at the kids that we had coming out there, now we had 26 seniors. We expressed that, look, guys, this can change, but it's going to start now. It's got to happen with you. And they pretty much bought into what we were trying to do in the off season. We had a full off season with them. We introduced some different things that's going to work on obviously getting them stronger, but preparing them mentally and becoming a team. A lot of team building activities. It wasn't so much of the X's and O's. It's more like finding their identity. Remember, these kids haven't won anything. So I believe the off season played a big part. We went into the summertime. We hosted a 7-on-7 clinic type deal, and we end up winning it. This is their first win in 2017. This is their first win. A lot of people say, you know what, it's just 7-on-7. I mean, nobody's really putting their heart and soul into it. Our kids did. And that little win alone went a long way, because they felt like at that point, all the stuff we've been preaching from January to the summer is now coming to fruition. And they took it and they ran with it. And it really it changed the whole dynamic of our program from that little 7-on-7 thing all the way up to the district championship.
We're talking with Kemmie Lewis, the head coach of the San Antonio Memorial Minutemen here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TIA Today. Coach, I want to go back to September 15th. You guys beat San Antonio Jefferson in overtime. It's your first win as head coach. It's also the first district win. I believe you guys snapped a 30-game district losing streak to go into overtime. Can you take us back to that moment? Can you take us back to what that was like to get that first win, not only to snap this long district losing streak, but just to get that first win under your belt in 2017?
Yes, sir, most definitely. I will always remember that, and our kids will remember that. It's the first time we've ever experienced anything like it. First of all, we won a game, but the way we did that, at that point, it was like we went to 3 overtimes. We knew we were the better team going into the game. So it just pretty much the kids were playing hard, and we made some mistakes here and there, and it got us to the point where we had to go into overtime. At that point, nobody really knew, like, can we pull it out? Because we've never been there before, right? Yeah. So my message was, like, all the things that ever worked for from January to now, like, this is the time now. It's a new experience for me as a coach, and it's a new experience for you. Believe in the process, and we'll get that win. And it happened. It happened. The kids really fought through. They did not give up. At any point in that game, they did not give up. And it's not at any point they didn't believe that they can get it done. So it was just a magical moment. And, the fans rallied behind us, and, our kids were just fighting to the finish. They really wanted that win. And they got it. And
then the capper comes, I guess 9 weeks later, when you guys you guys in emphatic fashion take down San Antonio Kennedy 55-20 to win the district championship. We've seen video of the celebration. I've got to say, I don't know if I've ever seen a more genuine party on a football field. Like, we've seen state championships get won. It was like you guys had won 3 consecutive state championships in that moment. It seemed like that was a lot of maybe a lot of frustration coming out in that moment.
Yeah, as well as definitely. We try to celebrate every moment that we can possibly get. I mean, whether it's in a win or it's in a loss, we try to find something to celebrate. In this case, though, it seemed like for 6 weeks straight, we were celebrating those victories. And our kids, that don't happen here often. So it was just that's what we're used to doing, is celebrating after a win. And it was just amazing. Our kids that's what they knew to do at that point. It was no longer, hey, we are losers, we are winners, and this is how we're going to celebrate. And
you guys, one of the big reasons that you guys were able to make this big leap forward was because your offense really took a big step. After
yes,
I think a pretty disappointing year in 2016 offensively, you guys got a big spark from your quarterback Anthony Esparza. I mean, an all-district pick there in District 28 5A. The guy who was really the engine behind your offense. As the guy who got to see him every day in practice, what can you tell us about this young man?
Man, I can say that we moved him up as a sophomore. We thought he was special then. He's a really good kid. He actually got injured that year, so it sort of put him back the next year because his mindset wasn't there. He thought, I'm a small kid. I got hurt last year. I don't know if I'm going to be fully committed. But this past season, we put him in the weight room. He got stronger. He said, Coach, I'm ready. This is my year. And so he put in a lot of time and, hard work, learning the offense a little bit more, just perfecting his craft. It's just, I've never seen it done this way. I've seen it in the collegiate, from the collegiate standpoint, where you got a kid that just studies the film. He did that just like that, numerous hours of just in the film room talking to our offensive coordinator. He wanted to be great, and man, did he show out this year.
He was fantastic. And then the other side of the ball, defensively, you guys go from giving up 35 points a game last year down to 23, this year. What was the difference defensively? What was the reason that you guys were so much better this year defensively?
Well, it goes back to a lot of things, trying to introduce new schemes to a kid that really doesn't understand the game of football was sort of tough for us the first year. We had a lot of this group of kids that just really bought into the system. They sort of understood exactly, what we're asking of those guys. We had some leaders this year, which we haven't had in the past. We had our linebacker core was very decent. They were very smart kids. So we let those guys lead the way. But once again, just like Anthony, those guys spend a lot of time in the film room asking questions. We try to solidify the schemes, make it a little bit more simpler. That way they can play a little bit faster. But once they got it, they didn't turn back. And, we ended up, I think, causing we had 39 or something turnovers this season, which was a huge jump from last season. So everybody just got on board. We had a big senior group as well. So it just made a big difference.
We're talking with Kemmie Lewis, the head coach of the San Antonio Memorial Minutemen here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation. Hashtag TF Today. All right, Coach, there was a great story from Roy Bragg of the San Antonio Express News, kind of when you guys were in the midst of this great season. I think you were still 2 games to go in the regular season. And he starts off saying that in the summer – You went in there. He kind of recounts a meeting that you guys had with some Edgewood School District officials, and
Yes.
and they asked you that if you were going to win at least one game this year, and according to Roy Bragg, I want to throw him under the bus. He's quoting you here. He says, "Sir," Lewis recalled responding, "I predict us to go 7-3 this season. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to do it." Well, you guys did go 7-3. I just want to ask you. Is that accurate? Did you call your shot?
Of course I did. This is a lot of people don't believe this story, but this is a true statement. These are true actual events that happened to this point. I mean, I did a lot of research. After the season was over in 2016, I went back and I said, you know what? We have a shot at this thing. I looked at all the kids that were coming back into other programs and really evaluated their program. And going back to reevaluate our program, I really thought we had a good shot. We had 26 experienced kids coming back for this year. A lot of teams are losing most of their, stud players, and we brought back our whole team. So I was like, it's going to be some tough challenges with some of these teams, but I think we can go 7-3, just being realistic. And you know what? It came to fruition. I kid you not. Those are true, actual statements
that's awesome.
Conversations.
Listen, you got to have that kind of confidence. And speaking of confidence, and I don't want you to be humble here, but you're still a young man. Folks may not know you are a star receiver at Louisiana Lafayette. You played some arena ball in Austin.
Yes, sir.
I want to know. Can you still get out there and kind of cut it up with those kids? Can you still could you run some routes and maybe take some of your defensive backs over the top? Maybe take the top off the defense.
Well, I think that's the reason we're part successful is that the kids see, if the head coach can get out here and do it, then I'm not gonna hold back here. If the head coach can come out here and do it, then by God, I better be able to do it as well. Yeah. We challenge our kids and we have fun with those guys. And as a coach, while I have the limbs to be able to run and move around, I don't mind getting out there and, having a race or two or just running a couple routes or playing DB. I've done it, and I want them to appreciate the game for what it is, because when it's all said and done, you got to enjoy it at this moment. So, yeah, we get out there and we challenge them, and, we see what we can do with it.
Yeah, you got to be able to body up coach. I mean, you gotta jam him off the line, make sure he doesn't get into his route. I mean,
that never happens though.
That's excellent. He is Kemmie Lewis. He's the head coach of the San Antonio Memorial Minutemen. Coach, congratulations on an outstanding 2017 season, and let's run it back in 2018.
Yes, sir, most definitely. I do appreciate it, guys.
There he goes, Kemmie Lewis, the head coach, San Antonio Memorial Minutemen. It's awesome.
That was awesome.
It's awesome. That's an easy program to root for.
Yeah.
And that is, for those who don't know, that can be a bit of a rough part of town. And it can be, there's a great, I'm going to tweet this out, but Roy Bragg's article really paints the picture of, this is a program that was a joke in their own community.
Yeah.
I mean, it was you know, he says, and again, I want to see if I can find this. Okay, I'm going to read directly from Roy Brexbury. There have been, for example, carloads of guys, young men and maybe teens, who drive loudly by the practice field every day. They aren't cheering the school's best team in years, but rather taking part in some sort of twisted, self-loathing tradition. They curse and spew vitriol at the team. Like, it was a joke. It was the program was a joke. But what's so cool is that it seems like when that team got rolling, the community really started to embrace them, and it is a remarkable, remarkable thing that Kemmie Lewis has done. Again, guys, their first winning season since 1994.
And they won the whole freaking district
They
title.
won the whole darn district. Their first district title ever. They've been around since 1967.
Pretty awesome.
It is an amazing, amazing story.
And we had wanted to talk to him multiple times. We pull the curtain back. We sit here and talk about coaches we want to talk to soon, maybe some things that are going on. And it's that end of the year, end of the districts where they'd won the district title, but we also have a lot of big playoff team matchups coming up, and you're trying to get as many coaches in as you can while also previewing the playoffs.
Right. It came unfortunately at such a terrible time that I'm really glad we were able to catch up with him. So I appreciate Coach Kemmie Lewis hopping on with us. It was fantastic, and again, real easy to root for them.
Yep.
Real easy. So we appreciate Coach Lewis hopping on with us.